Hi everyone, I'm Jeremy Reeves, head blender of Cornell and Diehl Pipe Tobacco Company, and this is another installment of Cornell and Diehl's Tobacco Selections. Today we're going to be talking about a style of tobacco called Oriental, or Turkish tobacco. The reason that it's commonly called Turkish tobacco is because most of the areas where Oriental tobacco actually come from were at one time part of the Ottoman Empire, and so it's common for people to refer to the entire family of Oriental leaf as Turkish, even though individual selections may not necessarily come from Turkey. You find Oriental tobacco commonly in Greece, Macedonia, although you do also find Oriental now being grown in some areas that were never part of the Ottoman Empire, like Thailand. So I want to share with you the two types of Oriental that we actually blend together to be our Oriental blending component. And we use two different grades because they do a little bit different things, and married together, they really round out the flavor profile. For starters, we're going to look at our Basma. This is from a 2015 crop year, or no, 2014, I'm sorry, crop year. Basma is from Greece and tends to have a more muted flavor profile. Let's go ahead and dig into it and see what we get here. Very mellow. A touch earthy. There is sort of a slight citrus note to it, kind of like if you added just a squeeze of lemon to your iced tea. Herbal tones really come through. In fact, a lot of generally tea-like flavors. But you do get some spicy notes. Not spicy like pepper or like real heat, but more spicy like if you've ever walked into a spice shop or a spice market, and all of these different flavors and aromas kind of swirling around in the air, the way that it washes across your nasal cavity and your palate, that kind of thing. Cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, curry. Every once in a while, just the slightest hint of bitterness, but it's a pleasant sort of bitterness, kind of like dark roasted coffee. But it's very muted. The whole flavor profile is quite complex, but it takes a lot of really sifting through. It's very muted and very mellow. Generally, I would say that in terms of the Oriental flavor profile, Basma tends toward the mid and low range, darker, a little roastier. Now, the other part of our Oriental mixture here is actually Izmir, and this comes from Turkey, from the 2013 crop year. And right on the light, lots of vibrant, bright citrus notes. The spices, the floral aspect of the typical Oriental flavor profile, some of the sort of funky qualities. Really come through a lot more. And this is very much on the upper end of the spectrum, brighter, fruitier, more vibrantly spicy, and very pronouncedly tangy and tart. if the Basma is like a squeeze of lemon in iced tea, the Izmir is like lemonade with maybe a little bit of tea in it. Very soft on my palate. I'm not getting any tongue bite or anything from either of these. Hints of cumin. Curry powder is something that a lot of times Orientals remind me of. Sweet, and maybe a touch of something like cashew. Orientals can really have flavors that are all over the place, and they seem to shift and change on a dime. It's really interesting to actually smoke a full bowl of these side by side, but I think that really they shine most when they are blended together. And that's why we use them in a blend together as our Oriental blending component. So let's go ahead and light some of that up. In the blend, this is much more palate filling. I'm getting flavor on every part of my tongue, whereas with the Izmir, it's mostly bright on the tip of my tongue. With the Basma, it is mostly hitting the middle and back of my palate. With the blend, it coats my entire palate. I'm even sensitive to it in the roof of my mouth and my cheeks. It's really involving all of the tissues in my mouth and in my nasal cavity. It really works to accentuate all of the herbal and tea-like notes. The curry and cardamom and kinds of things are more spread across my palate. They're more vibrant, but they are also more evenly balanced. The sweetness is more noticeable than either of them on their own. And that cashew note is really beginning to come through as the tobacco sort of toasts. You get to get some of the darker flavors almost hinting at what would happen if you, say, fire cured this type of leaf for 5 to 6 months, and that would yield Latakia. It certainly doesn't have the same aroma or flavor as finished product Latakia, but you can kind of see smoking Oriental straight on its own how Latakia comes to be. Eminently pleasant to smoke on its own. I could smoke this stuff straight all day, no problem, and be interested the entire time. As I say, it's a real smorgasbord of flavor. Oriental is a really exciting leaf to play with. It brings a lot of complexity and a lot of different character to blends. Pairing it with other types of tobacco can be really interesting, and those of you that are home blenders, I highly recommend to you to find some Oriental leaf to play with. We sell this in bulk, and I think it can really take your blending to another level if you learn how to use this leaf along with Burley or along with Virginia or along with the Latakia and Perique types of tobaccos. Oriental can really do a lot. It's a fun leaf to play with. It's always fun to select, and so I hope this has offered something new to you guys and bring something new to the conversation. I look forward to seeing you next time for another episode of Cornell and Diehl's Tobacco Selections.